Hey there, my name's Jesse, and you're listening to the Deep Lore Boys podcast.
Pipe bomb incident falls under practical jokes.
Why would you claim to be an Australian author?
Bragging in a Waffle House about how he's gonna kill Obama.
Michael Fagan was a British citizen, and the story that involves him happened back in the 80s. He got drunk one night and was at a bar and left at like really early in the morning. And is just like, you know what? I'm going to go to Buckingham Palace. I'm just going to do it. And so he wandered over there and got in. Like he climbed over the fence, climbed over whatever security was there in the 80s, and just walked into Buckingham Palace. And I guess he shimmied up a drain pipe and startled a housemaid who called security, but he disappeared before the guards arrived. And then they were just like, stupid woman. We don't trust the testimony of a woman.
They just didn't listen to her at all.
Yeah,
He tripped 3 separate alarms, and they just assumed that they were all faulty. So this woman's like, someone broke in, I'm telling you. 3 alarms were tripped, and he walked around and ate cheese and crackers and drank half a bottle of wine. He sat on the throne.
Yeah. And they were just like, stupid woman. Oh, the alarms are going off. Must have been the wind. Like,
what?
They were that sexist.
Like, literally like Skyrim NPC. Like, that's
I think they were lizard people. And they were
way.
just incompetent. They didn't think a human could break into their establishment.
So you were saying that he broke in twice, and I was like, wow, who's stupid enough to do that once, let alone twice? So by the time you did this once, and it ends this well, why wouldn't you? I'd bring my friends and be like, hey guys, let's go.
Check this out. Dude, you guys want to see the throne?
This goes...
smaller in real life.
I'm honestly more upset like that he got caught the second time. Like,
I love that it says that he viewed royal portraits and sat on the throne because he was drunk at the time. So, but still in his drunken stupor, he had the wherewithal to stop and be like, "That's a beautiful painting. Oh, it really captures the magnificence of
really fantastic." Like, and so then again, a couple days later, scaled the wall, climbed up the drain pipe. The sensor detected his movement, but yet again, the police assumed that it was faulty. So
now, wait a minute. This wall is 14 feet high and is topped with revolving spikes and barbed wire. And it's 7 a.m.
Dude. And he's fine.
How he did that, I have no idea.
How did he do it the first time?
I don't know. But this time, he actually got into the Queen's chambers, which was... this is crossing the line. So
that's bad. Yeah, that's dangerous.
Police thought the alarm was faulty and silenced it. And he wandered around the castle for several minutes before reaching the royal apartments. He broke a glass ashtray and cut his hand. So then Queen Elizabeth wakes up at 7:15 a.m. and sees this guy bleeding from his hand in her room,
just
like exploring,
carrying a piece of the glass.
He got into Queen Elizabeth's room.
Yeah. Apparently, he just was standing in the room, broke an ashtray, cut his hand, and walked in there, just carrying a piece of glass. Like, that was.
Dude, Buckingham Palace is massive. How did he even get that close to the Queen?
I don't know, but he did that.
Seemingly by accident. I don't think he was looking for her. Or maybe he was this time.
She woke up because he accidentally disturbed a curtain, so I guess he, like, shed some light in there. I guess apparently people initially had said that he sat on the edge of her bed and they had a long conversation. But according to Fagan, that's not what happened, and she left immediately to seek security.
She phoned the palace switchboard twice for police, but nobody arrived. So she used her bedside alarm bell. She beckoned a housemaid into the corridor. Would have been really funny if she was the same housemaid and was like, dude, they aren't going to believe me this time either. But she left to go get help.
So they sent her out. The duty footman, Paul, was that Wybrew?
Paul Wybrew, yeah. He had been walking the Queen's dogs.
Oh, it's like the corgis did? So he arrived, followed by 2 policemen who then, took Michael Fagan out.
The crazy part is they probably arrived there having no idea that this guy was there. Like, it doesn't sound like they were summoned. They just happened to walk in, and there's this bleeding stranger in the Queen's personal chambers. And I imagine somebody had to get fired after that.
The Home Secretary, who held sole responsibility for the police, offered his resignation, but it was refused, so they didn't even actually fire him.
I feel like the British are more forgiving.
Yeah, it looks like
They were
didn't
like,
really
oh,
care at
well,
all."
God saved the Queen. All is well.
Yeah, as long as God saves the Queen, that's that's all we need.
That's
Fair
all
enough.
we need.
His actions were at the time a civil wrong rather than a criminal offense.
How does breaking into Buckingham Palace not a criminal offense?
He was not charged with trespassing into the Queen's bedroom. They didn't charge him at all. However, that apparently wasn't bad, but him drinking half a bottle of wine, that was a charge. So they charged him for that, but then they dropped the charge because they were like, no, we should get this guy evaluated. Like he needs a psych eval. So basically they put him in a psych hospital. His mom later that month said, I'll just quote her directly, "He thinks so much of the Queen. I can imagine him just wanting to simply talk and say hello and discuss his problems." Like,
Man, he's a really big
dude,
fan, you guys.
I think he's just a really crazy fan of the Queen, like a dream stan or something. Like he's just super parasocial about the Queen of England.
Okay, actually, this is extra lore that comes later that I didn't realize. So he attacked a policeman at a cafe in Wales and was given a 3-month suspended sentence. And then in 1997, he was imprisoned for 4 years after he, his wife, and their 20-year-old son conspired to supply heroin.
Oh, dude. So he was doing some crazy stuff.
He got into some funny business.
And even at that point, it was still not a criminal offense to trespass on Buckingham Palace. Apparently, they didn't enact that until 2007. They decided that it should maybe be illegal. Up until
so was
then,
the rule
fine.
Like, if you can get in, I mean, you can walk around, sit on the throne.
So. Like,
I guess he was mourning the Queen's death too. After she died in September 2022, Fagan lit a candle in her memory at a local church. So he's still alive today.
Yeah, he's still gone.
He's 76. Hi, Jesse again. Hope you're enjoying the lore so far. Here's the thing. All the podcasts that I listen to and really enjoy, I didn't just stumble upon them. A friend recommended them to me, and that's how I started listening. So if you've got a friend who's a non-reptilian, they don't blink sideways or hiss or anything, send them this podcast. Just send them the link to this episode with no context, and we'll just see what happens. Thanks for being a part of what makes this podcast grow, and yeah, thanks for listening. Here's the rest of the episode. There is a Wikipedia article called Security Incidents Involving Barack Obama, and there is a section in 2008 called North Carolina Waffle House Threats.
What? Wait,
I've gotta know. Jerry Blanchard was indicted for threatening to kill Obama during a breakfast at a Waffle House in Charlotte.
This was before Obama had even been voted in. He was just saying that he was never... Dude.
This is 2008. This is a year after Transformers came out. So
wait, so he was just telling it. Was this a guy working? No, he wasn't working at Waffle House.
He was just in a Waffle House, and he said Obama and his wife are never going to make it to the White House. He needs to be taken out, and I can do it in a heartbeat.
Dude, that's something that you can't just
can't just say that, man.
I do that. Like,
so they immediately contact the Secret Service.
You can contact the Secret Service directly? You can do that?
I guess
if you have to. So
they're not very secret.
Apparently, but he did tell the Secret Service agents that Obama was the Antichrist from the Bible, which
for real,
I've heard that a lot of times.
I remember,
I don't know why. I don't know why that was such a big deal that Obama was the Antichrist, but I remember hearing that all over the place. Like, dude.
Yeah, I heard that a lot. Obama was the Antichrist. That was really ruffling some feathers.
He achieved a lot of things that were very controversial among that kind of crowd.
Yeah.
And so I can see how they wouldn't have liked him, but I don't understand, like...
But Antichrist is kind of a big...
Yeah, like, this was before he even did any of his policies. He wasn't even president. This was 6 months before he was president.
So crazy thing is, after two customers get Jerry Blanchard's whole, like, Obama assassination plan in a Waffle House, the Secret Service investigates him, and he denies making the threats, and was like, no, I just think he's the Antichrist, but I don't want to kill him or anything. Then The Secret Service got a second call from an employee of the Crown Plaza Hotel in Charlotte. Blanchard was overheard in the lobby restroom saying into his cell phone, "I'll get a sniper rifle and take care of it myself. Somebody's got to do it. We both know Obama is the Antichrist."
What?
He keeps talking about his assassination plans in the most public places. Like, if he's not rambling in a Waffle House, he's on the phone
Literally
in the
worst
bathroom.
assassin ever, dude. I think this guy thinks that he's really sneaky and clever, and he's
I feel like
just
the
an
worst
idiot.
criminals always think they're the best criminals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I mean, first of all, anybody who's trying to kill a president is already like a little bit
like
not
that's
exactly
good.
smart anyway. But I feel like if you're gonna do the crime, you have to think that you're bad at it and expect to be bad at it and expect to be caught at every single place.
Yeah.
Like
They
if
never
you think
do
that
though. They
you're
always
good,
expect that they're good. They're like, no, I'm him. Like,
I was just thinking, the Antichrist, it's a prophecy. The reason this guy believes the Antichrist is real in the first place is because there's a prophecy in Revelation that the Antichrist is gonna like rise up and be a world leader, and people will like worship him, and he'll rule over the earth for a certain period of time.
I don't remember anybody worshiping Obama.
Does this guy just think like he's about to be God and take down the Antichrist before this can happen? Like, he's kind of breaking
Yeah,
his
that was the
own
thing.
lore.
Like, that's kind of the whole issue with all of that I hear people talk about. Like, people will say stuff about Revelation. They're like, oh, this is that. Revelation also clearly states that like no one actually knows when any of that's gonna be, and it'll happen when,
Right.
like, they don't expect it. And so like the more I feel like people try and pinpoint things, I feel like that kind of defeats the whole purpose of it. Like when I hear people saying like God's coming back tomorrow, like it's like we're really at the end times now. Things are getting really bad. And like,
Yeah, I just saw that they put litter boxes in the schools.
yeah,
Like,
like
Jesus is coming back.
like I don't know, when people say like the world is over and like we're the worst it's ever been, like I hear people saying that and I'm like, guys, like at the time when these books were written, like
It was
that was
way
in
worse.
ancient Rome. Okay, our sports involved enslaving people and killing them in a stadium. Like it was bad. And then like the Middle Ages were even worse. Like remember when a third of Europe died from the plague? Like, and even then people were saying that it was the end times then, and they were like, this is it, like it's happening, like we're all dying.
And even that wasn't it.
Even that wasn't enough. Like it's just I don't know,
what
like I
people
feel
also
like
forget is that for like 1,000 years in there, the average person couldn't even, I mean, they couldn't read, but let alone read the Bible. Like they didn't have access to the Bible.
yeah, the Bible was
Like-
gate kept from people in the Middle Ages like horribly, unless you're like
Yeah.
a monk or something. Like,
It was like pay to win DLC.
which I think is just one of the worst things we've ever done. The Middle Ages were rough for
The
sure.
Middle Ages were rough, but at least there were no antichrists. At least Obama wasn't in the Middle Ages.
yeah,
'Cause,
at least we
man,
didn't
I
have
mean, that
him.
would have been the end of times.
Oh my god, dude, there's so many threats against Obama.
You know I gotta read when I see 2013 Death Ray plot.
Whoa, is that under
In-
Obama?
Yeah. Yeah, in June of 2013, two men
What?
were arrested after building a death ray, and we're going to use it against Muslims and other perceived enemies of the U.S. and Israel, including
What?
Obama.
You sure this wasn't Phineas and Ferb, like the evil Phineas and Ferb? Like,
They were arrested by the FBI after a 15-month operation involving FBI agents posing as co-conspirators. What affidavit described the device as a mobile, remotely operated, radiation-emitting device capable of killing human targets silently and from a distance with lethal doses of radiation.
And they built that in Buffalo?
It's just in upstate New York somewhere. Ugh, and the guy was... One of the guys who made this was in the KKK.
Yeah, he was with the KKK.
in
Crazy.
upstate New York?
Yeah, and he said that he contacted a synagogue and asked them for help with it, saying that he was going to use it against their enemies. And they were like, ew, no.
In 2015, there was a plot by three men from New York City. They were going to kill President Obama, hijack an airplane, and bomb Coney Island. That was their plan
Ugh.
anyway. They did not make it very far.
Thank God that didn't.
Um,
Dude, who does that to Coney Island? Okay, these
I
people are
don't,
just terrible.
I don't know.
Or you just like get the most miserable human being alive, dude.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like, if you really want to like kill a president, like you're not exactly like a good.
Like you're not a good
like-
person. Like
Yeah,
you're
no,
not.
no,
that
but,
is
like-
Antichrist behavior.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. Okay, like I don't know. There's, this is not a political podcast. It never will be. It ought not to be. I am vehemently anti-assassination. Only hard takes here. But like when ever in history has an assassination been carried out and then things get more peaceful. Apart from the occasional crazy, like super fascist dictator who like the people finally revolt and get rid of him. But then there's always like a crazy power vacuum and it's like a disaster for a couple of years and they figure something out. Like apart from those extreme fringe cases, when has something like this ever ended in a more peaceful solution? All it does is make people angrier. Like
you have no enemies.
The most political the podcast will probably ever get. I sure hope so.
What a terrible assassin this guy was.
Truly the worst.
Jerry Blanchard, what a terrible criminal. He's bragging in a Waffle House about how he's going to kill Obama.
I would never brag in a Waffle House.
I would never brag in a Waffle House. I built Waffle House.
I would never even go to a Waffle House.
I went to Waffle House. I said, wow, what a lot of poor people this is.
See, that was his first mistake. Was going to the Waffle House. He should have never gone there. That's what I said to him.
Yeah, that's what I told him is you don't go there.
I said, you don't go to bad things happen in Waffle House. You know?
We had a listener send this to the Deep Lore Discord, I'm pretty sure. It's just this post that says, May 2014, Senator Bill Heffernan complains about the lack of metal detectors in Parliament, tabling a pipe bomb that he's brought with him as evidence. Which immediately has me interested.
Already, like, that's a big problem. I looked into it a bit more to see what's up. On the wiki, the pipe bomb incident falls under the practical jokes tab, which I think
has an entire practical jokes tab?
Yes, this guy...
Oh, what an achievement.
Apparently was quite the troll. He was a Australian senator, Bill Heffernan, representing the state of New South Wales from 96 to 2016. So 20 years he was their senator. And in 2014, lo and behold, fortunately, the pipe bomb was completely empty on the inside. There were no explosives in the pipe bomb. It was a fake, but it was made in every way to resemble a pipe bomb and should have triggered metal detectors if as far as anyone knew, it was a pipe bomb.
It was a pipe bomb.
So
which is pretty crazy. Like, how do you argue with that? That is
you've
an
proven
actual
your
slam
point.
dunk.
So I was looking into what compelled him to do this, because that is a drastic measure. Apparently, like a couple years prior, everyone, when they entered into the Parliament building, had to go through security. They had metal detectors, and they had to, like the classic, like you got to leave your phone at the door and all that fancy stuff. And apparently, a new system had been put in place, and everyone, anyone who was a member of Parliament, anyone who was a member of their staff, or the members of Parliament's family, any one of them could just waltz right in. And there was no problem with it. No metal detectors, no scanning, no security. They could just go in there and take whatever they wanted. And he did not like this. He was like, this is a terrible idea. Like this, why do I have to tell you guys that this is not good? So
that's crazy.
He did that.
I can't believe that's a practical joke. That's just like a
thing is, not only did he do this, but did he also in some ways, I mean, I guess he would have known that there wasn't enough security there, but this in a sense could have risked his life, because if someone was like, oh, there's a pipe bomb there, he could have been shot.
This was a bold move.
I'm thinking he must have, if it were me, if I were smuggling a fake pipe bomb into the Parliament House, I would put a note, I don't know, that said something like, hey, it's empty. Hey, this is a joke. Please don't
the thing is, though, then that would undermine
that doesn't
that would undermine what he was trying to do.
Even at that,
not
he could
really,
do that,
because...
But then, would they even believe him? That's...
Okay, wait. His other practical jokes, I'm just reading. On the 30th of August, 2010, he called Rob Oakeshott an independent MP. What is that?
What is that? I don't know Australian politics. Independent politician. So he's like a non-partisan politician. So he's calling a politician that isn't affiliated with any party.
So he calls him and introduces himself as the devil. Except Rob didn't answer. It was actually his wife, and she assumed correctly that it was a prank and hung up.
What?
Before Heffernan gave his name.
Then Oakeshott accused the coalition of dirty tactics and described the introduction as Rambo style. And then Heffernan said that he had been introducing himself as such for a while.
It's like I always pick up the phone and say, "Yep, it's the devil.
Hey, it's me, the devil."
You called 666-6666.
Dude, that's such a good troll, man.
That's crazy.
That's really good. Imagine you calling a politician like that. And you're like, "Yeah, keep it going, man. Keep it. You're doing good." That's
during the New South Wales 2007 state election. He was accused of stealing greens.
That's the Green Party.
He was reported as shouting, "If you want to decriminalize drugs for your children, vote green." This guy was kind of a loose cannon. He did everything Rambo style.
So I also feel like this guy in some ways was like a I don't know if you really want me saying this, but like a successful Guy Fawkes.
This guy wasn't Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes was a madman, right? What did Guy Fawkes actually do?
He stuffed parliaments filled with weapons and blew himself up, but didn't kill the king. This man did successfully also smuggle weapons into parliament.
So this guy achieved exactly what he set out to do, and he didn't have to blow the building up.
Yes.
Guy Fawkes Day is a thing that they celebrate over in the UK. Do they celebrate the fact that he got blown up, or the fact that someone tried to take on the king? Do they praise him, or are they like, yeah, screw that guy? He did blow up the building. He just didn't. There was no one in it.
It's still really strange. Why make that a holiday? We gotta talk about oh shoot, what was his name? I gotta pull this guy up. He was the cop that robbed banks on his lunch break.
This guy sounds like a scumbag.
Dude, he's great.
Hold
on, say what you just said again. What just happened?
I read about a guy, he was a cop who robbed banks on his lunch break, multiple times.
That's a dude.
Hold on, let me find him. This guy, I've been waiting to talk about him. I just forgot.
Holy.
Andre Strander was a South African criminal and policeman. While he was on the clock, Andre was a policeman. He was a regular cop, eating donuts, doing donuts, hanging out with the boys. But on his lunch break, he was a bank robber.
Dude, that's so villainous.
This was devious.
That's actually bad.
Yeah, he definitely. I hope he got fired because
I would hope so.
You would.
I would really.
I hope he got
so,
fired.
Dude.
I hope he got arrested.
He was a captain. Shoot, I didn't realize that.
He was a police captain, dude.
He was a police captain.
Holy.
I wonder if he got killed in one of these robberies. I guess we'll have to find out. Clearly, I really know what I'm talking about with this guy.
Yeah, dude, the last heading on his article just says Florida and death.
Oh, that is the most ominous and scary thing.
Yeah,
we'll
get there. Maybe the Gators got him.
Maybe.
So early life, he was under pressure from an early age to pursue a career in law enforcement. Must have just been the hip thing at the time in South Africa.
Well, it sounds like his dad was a prominent figure in the prison service, Major General Francois Jacobus Standers. So
I guess he would fly. So on his lunch break, he found a way to fly to another town nearby, and then he would go and rob the bank, and nobody...
How long was his lunch break?
I don't know.
Dude, how are you getting on a plane and flying on your lunch break, bro? I kind of want this guy's job, honestly. That's,
if you get that long of a lunch break.
That's quite the break there.
On his lunch break, he would fly to another town, rob the bank, and then take the money and leave. And then he would often come back to the crime scene as a cop to investigate and be like, oh man, this was a sneaky one. He must have gotten away. And then he would just dismiss the case and nobody would look into it anymore. He robbed nearly 20 banks. I would have just cut it after 10. Been like, I'm lucky to have gotten away with this
That's
much.
the limit there.
This guy seems like he just had You never hear about like pathological liars, how like they feel like they need to lie, like they like part of it just like they feel like they need to do it.
He just had to rob a bank. He just
Maybe it was like when a kid is raised in like a turbo Christian Baptist household, and then they become like a staunch atheist. All of a sudden, and they're like, "Screw you, Dad."
Oh, so apparently he had a whole gang called the
Yeah.
Strander
So
gang?
I'm going one at a time here because it appears there's some gang activity that comes up in the story. So he
this guy
robbed
went
nearly
super
20
edgy.
banks. He was eventually arrested and sentenced to 75 years in prison. Many of the charges in the sentence ran concurrently, so he faced an actual sentence of 17 years.
What?
What
does that even mean?
Guess.
What is that? How does that happen?
Oh, shoot. This takes a very dark turn. After his first trial, Stander claimed that his disillusionment with police service stemmed from a prior incident during the 1976 Soweto uprising.
So this was an apartheid thing.
Yeah.
This wasn't just him goofing off. This was a gnarly time in history, and he was just a part of it.
So what was that? I'm not as familiar with this as I evidently should be.
Yeah, I should have noticed that, given the time frame. So for a while there, South Africa was a colony of England for a while, and then basically everyone got super, super racist, and it resulted in people groups getting seriously. It was basically a bunch of white people being horrible to black people.
Right.
As it tends to be, as things seem to go, apparently.
Although other people are saying that he was actually not with the police when the shooting happened.
Right, but he claimed that was like, that's when I started hating the police. That's why I did this.
Yes, but he also said that he was with the police and he was shooting. And then like he was like, oh, this is wrong, and people were like, you were not a police officer at this time.
Maybe he just decided that he didn't like it anyway, because to be fair, I didn't even think about that. At this time, the police force was extremely bad.
It looks like his whole like, oh, I was a cop, but then like the apartheid thing just really like rubbed me the wrong way. People are saying that doesn't really line up.
Yeah, that seems like more of an excuse that he made.
Yeah, it sounds like he more just wanted to steal things. That's what I'm getting at here.
But good try.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
So on the 11th of August, 1983, Stander and his buddy McCall, they were both prison inmates, escaped from prison. They escaped during a physiotherapy appointment and immediately just began robbing banks when they got back out. Right back to their old ways.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking that the other thing that like this man just craved a life of crime and he just wanted the excitement, I think is, by what I'm reading, very much his motive. I think he just couldn't stay out of it.
McCall was killed on the 30th of January in a police raid on the gang's hideout, and Stander went to Florida.
Why? Why did he go to Florida?
Never mind, he didn't run to Florida. He had already been in Florida. He was trying to arrange for the sale of the gang's recently purchased sailing yacht, the Lily Rose.
What?
So he was just there on business.
So he had enough money from robbing these banks that he was able to buy a yacht, and he was just over there trying to sell it. That's what's going on here.
Apparently the whole gang had a yacht.
Oh wait, he was selling the yacht. I thought he was buying it.
No, so the gang had a yacht, and apparently he was trying to sell it.
Oh man, get rid of the evidence or what? Can't he just sail into international waters and then there's nothing they can do to get him?
I mean, yeah, but he's eventually going to run out of food.
Honestly, hearing that this guy was in there to sell a yacht, like any little bit of like feel bad for this guy I kind of just don't for some reason. Not just like because he's rich, but like given that all that's stolen money.
So apparently this is his love of a life of crime eventually unraveled itself.
Yeah, in Florida.
He eventually stayed in Florida and decided to claim that he was an Australian author, which I'm going to be honest here, I feel like this is what cemented the pathological liar like excitement from life of crime thing. Like, why would you claim to be an Australian author? Like, that's just so, like, people are going to pick up the South African accent, which I get sounds somewhat similar to Australian, but, like, then an author... Never mind, I guess that would explain the yacht. So that's probably why he was doing that.
I think he's still a pathological liar. I think he's either way, whether, like, him saying that he was an Australian author made sense or not. Like,
true, but, like, if he was just saying that just to be like, I wonder what they can believe, like, that would make him more...
Either way.
Like, but still, eventually they arrested him. They found that his Mustang was unregistered. They decided to let him go, but his Mustang was impounded. And the same evening, he went to the lot where his Mustang was.
Broke in and stole the car.
And broke, yes. Was
This
this
man
how
is
he,
not-
was this when he died?
Wait.
He is not stable.
The next morning, he came back to the same car lot that he just stole his Mustang from and asked the same dealer to have the car repainted in a different color.
What? Why?
Who is this man?
Tomasello called the local police. Well, no kidding.
Yeah, no.
This guy was insane.
I think he just thought that he could get away with everything.
I like to think that he didn't even want the car repainted to like conceal the identity. He was just like, red would look really nice on this bad boy. I
think he
get a new
probably
paint
went
job.
back in there just to basically show the guy that he got his Mustang back. Like, I think that's really the only reason that he came
Like
back.
a
It's just
power
like,
move.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason he would have done that.
But apparently, they surrounded Stander's apartment. The police, when they were called, they surrounded Stander's apartment, and they said Stander was not there, but had acquired a bicycle to use while his car was being repainted. Thomas didn't even deny his repainting request. He was just like, yeah, sure, I'll repaint it, and then called the police.
Yeah, well,
What?
honestly, that's probably a safe move.
fair
Like,
enough.
you don't want to outright be like, "No, you're a dangerous criminal. I'm calling the police."
Yeah.
Like, no,
you
I
know,
wouldn't do that
totally
either.
is.
Like,
That's
I guess-
honestly smart on, what's his name, Tomasello. That's smart on his part, bro.
Also, if you do that, do you get to keep the money that, like,
No.
Stander gives you? Do you get to be like,
I hate
hey,
to
you know
break
what?
it to you.
Well, no, like, okay, so Stander paid him. I'm guessing if he paid him up front, though.
Oh, well,
Well,
maybe
like-
in that case, yeah, I don't know.
So, as the police are surrounding the apartment, Andre pulls up. Now, he's flanking them, but the problem is he didn't realize that they were going to be there. So that nullifies the flanking maneuver. An
Yes.
officer, Michael Van Stetina, saw him, recognized him, and lunged in. He leaped into action.
Stetna tried to prevent him from getting away, and a struggle began where I guess Stander tried to take the officer had a shotgun. Stander tried to wrestle it from him, and the gun discharged and shot Stander.
Ooh.
Apparently, then Stetna immediately tried to administer first aid and called for an ambulance, but by the time one arrived, Stander was already dead.
Yeah, if
So,
you get point blank
yeah,
shotgunned,
it sounds like
that's pretty bad.
Yeah, this guy is kind of insane.
Is more wild than I thought. I had only heard about him because of the robbing banks on his lunch break thing, but like I've forgotten about that at this point. It goes so much deeper.
Oh, and then someone made a movie off of him, apparently. Or I guess in the movie, he's like the good guy of the film. Yeah, the movie just plays straight into what he said, where it's basically he was a cop, and then the apartheid was, going on, and he was like, no. And so he had to turn to like a life of not cop,
Wow.
which doesn't sound like that's exactly how that went down in real life. It sounds
No, I
like there
think
was
the
a
real
lot more
story
of
was
it.
a little less heroic.
So apparently, though,
Yeah.
the other thing that I didn't know was he was also white. Which,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm saying here. He's not.
obviously,
He was not the
like,
victim of the apartheid. I have to look into. I don't know like a ton about the.
that's
whole
what
South
I don't
African-
know about all of it, but that's what I was sort of thinking was he was like, no, this was wrong, this wasn't right. Though no, apparently it's just like he was the son of a wealthy police officer. He lied about apartheid to try to make people feel bad for him, and then
Well, that's Andre Stander for you.
This is, I think, one of the first. I wouldn't say like the first or anything, but we don't usually discuss a lot of people. Like we discuss a lot of really cool people on the podcast, but not a lot that are like. I don't really want to say morally gray. Like he's clearly morally a danger, but it's not often that we really discuss people that are bad
Evil.
like that. Yeah, like it's not often.
Not
that we
since
do
Governor
that.
Mendoza, man.
No,
he
yeah,
was the last one.
He was not a big Mendoza fan here on the podcast.
Hey again, it's Jesse. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Deep Lore Boys podcast. If you did, leave a like, leave a review, subscribe for more episodes, share it with a friend, you know the stuff. Thanks for listening, and I hope your day is nothing short of interesting. Take care.
I'm gonna go post that one on Twitter.com.